Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome. I'm a specialist in AI applications within modern hospitality, and it's a real pleasure to be with you. On behalf of the Europe Hotel School, welcome to this session. It's a key part of your online learning journey, and it's all about supporting your growth in this incredible industry. So, today we're going to dive into something absolutely critical, but often completely silent. We're talking about a concept that's changing everything: water intelligence. Now, that might sound a little like science fiction, right? But believe me, this is a very real question that hotel engineers and managers are asking themselves every day. Just take a second and think about it. What if you could give your building a kind of sixth sense? The ability to actually hear a tiny problem long before it has a chance to turn into a full-blown catastrophe. So, to really get why this is such a game changer, we have to pull back the curtain on a hidden threat. A threat that's lurking inside every single one of your properties right now. And it comes from a utility that, let's be honest, we all take for granted. And this quote, it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? I mean, think about it. Your HVAC system hums when it kicks on. You flip a switch and you see the electricity working. But water just flows silently through the veins of a building. It does its job, and it does it without making a sound. But here's the thing. For a hotel, that very silence is what makes it so deceptive and so dangerous. It creates this huge blind spot in your operations. So while you're rightly focused on the guest experience, on the day-to-day running of the hotel, a really serious problem could be quietly developing, completely hidden from view, right inside your walls. Okay, let's take a classic example: the dreaded pinhole leak. It all starts with something tiny, almost nothing. But as you can see, it sets off this disastrous chain reaction. That single tiny drip can go completely undetected for months, maybe even longer. And all that time, it's just silently rotting away your structural timber, creating the perfect breeding ground for toxic mold, and setting the stage for, you guessed it, a catastrophic failure. And what about the cost? Well, it's staggering. We're talking about a potential bill of £30,000 or even more. And that's from a single, tiny, long-term leak. Honestly, that's a level of risk that no hospitality business, big or small, can afford to just ignore. So the big question is, how on earth do you fight an enemy you can't see or hear? Well, you give the building a new sense. You teach it how to listen. And this is where the problem really transforms into an opportunity. This is where we introduce the whole concept of water intelligence. You can see the evolution perfectly right here. You know, the old way was what we'd call search and destroy. It was completely reactive. You'd wait for that dreaded damp spot to show up on a ceiling, and then you'd start tearing down walls trying to find the source. It was messy, it was expensive, it was inefficient. The new way, water intelligence, it's the exact opposite. It's proactive. It uses AI to constantly monitor the system 24/7, giving you this incredibly precise detection before any damage can even start. So, what are we really talking about when we say water intelligence? Well, at its core, it's an AI platform that gives your building a sense of hearing. It literally listens to the sounds and vibrations, the unique acoustic signature that water makes as it moves through your entire plumbing network. All right, so that all sounds pretty amazing, but how does it actually work? How do you teach an entire building to listen? And maybe more importantly, how do you teach it to understand what it's hearing? Well, it all begins with what's called a deep learning phase. First, we place these high-speed AI sensors at strategic points throughout the plumbing, and then the system just listens. For a few weeks, it does nothing but monitor the normal, everyday sounds of your hotel's water usage. It learns the patterns, right? The big surge of water for the laundry at 6 a.m., the steady hum of the cooling towers on a hot afternoon, the near total silence at 3 in the morning. And from all of that data, it builds a unique baseline. And this baseline has a name. We call it a flow signature. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like a fingerprint, but for your hotel's water usage. Every hotel is different, right? No two are exactly alike. And this signature, it captures the unique, specific pulse of your property. Okay, so once that unique fingerprint is locked in, the AI's job changes. It switches from learning mode to protection mode. It becomes this vigilant, 24/7 guardian, always watching over your hotel's infrastructure. And the level of precision here is it's incredible. We're talking about a system that can detect any deviation from that normal fingerprint and anomaly as small as just a few drops per hour. It can actually hear the tiny change in acoustic frequency that a new pinhole leak creates, and bam, it alerts your engineering team immediately, telling them exactly where to look. Now, catching those slow, sneaky leaks is amazing for sure. But what about the big one, the worst case scenario? What happens when there's a sudden catastrophic failure? A main pipe bursting in the middle of the night when no one's around. This right here, this is where the system goes from being smart to being an absolute game changer. Let's walk through it. 0 seconds, a pipe bursts. Instantly, the AI detects a massive surge in flow that doesn't match any normal pattern. 2 seconds later, an alert is already pinging the engineering team's phones. At the 3-second mark, an autonomous shutoff valve is triggered. And by second 4, just 4 seconds, the flood is stopped. A disaster that could have cost hundreds of thousands in damages is neutralized in less time than it took me to say that. So you see, the real value here, the big takeaway, is that giving your building a sense of hearing goes way beyond just cool tech. It translates directly into something every hotel manager cares about: business continuity and protecting your asset. Let's just tick off the business impacts here, because they are huge. First off, it drastically reduces your insurance risk. It prevents those incredibly costly business interruptions. It protects what matters most: your guests' belongings and their entire experience. It secures the very bones of your hotel. And on top of all that, it gives you powerful data you can use to boost your sustainability efforts. It's a win-win-win. When you boil it all down, what this technology really does is take that silent, unpredictable utility and it transforms it into an audible, intelligent, and totally manageable stream of data. It takes all the guesswork out of the equation and replaces it with pure certainty. And that brings me to a final thought I'd like to leave you with today. As you move forward in your amazing careers in this industry, I really want you to think about this concept. Today, we've talked about giving water a voice. So my question to you is, what other silent, overlooked parts of your hotel desperately need to be heard? Thank you very much.